Okay, we are going to record today. So glad you all are here. Thank you so much, Tiffany, Obadiah, Wanda. So glad to see that you're here. John, thank you for coming today. I know we didn't put out a lot of promotion, but I'm so glad you're here. And we are going to discuss the dash. It probably didn't make as much sense looking at the advertisement. Okay, just checking a little chat there, and we had emails and Facebook sent. So welcome, and we have a gift for you. You stay till the end. We'll have a link for you as well as a potential book. And if you're not a member of the Facebook group, we'll get you linked in there as well, because there's so much content for staying ahead of the game. I tell you what, and it's quite a game. So I am going to share. Let me get the right item up and click into, and we will edit this out. I should have had that going already. Add a slideshow. See, I am not very tech oriented, but I did remember to record today. And now we are now going to do slideshow. Here it is. Back at the beginning. And there we go. So glad you are here today. This is a transformational series. We're doing 3 webinars right in a row, so you can ask questions, find out from a doctor. I'm a doctor of natural medicine as well as chiropractic, and we've been doing this over 20 years, helping people. I am Teresa Volner. Now, my brother called me Tess when I was born, so that's how I got that nickname. But this is a design for your life. Find out what works and achieve success, and what do you want your life to look like? And that's the dash. And I know the life cycle of a bee from egg to adult takes about 21 days. And queen bees can live for several years, but most of them are living very short lives, 6 weeks to 5 months. If you had only 5 months to live, what would you change? And it's always good to evaluate. This is my birthday year, and I don't look forward to this, the tombstone. And on everyone's tombstone, there's the dash. When you were born and when you pass. And no, all of us are looking towards death, but what are we going to do during the dash to make a higher quality of life? This is super significant. And life, we have plans for how we expect life to come out. And so we don't spend time worrying about death early in our life. We start making plans for our career and our, do we get a raise, and which company we want to work for, and how many companies, since we're bouncing from company to company more these days, and how you want your family to look like, and how you want to raise your children, and is it turning out the way you think it ought to have? And that's the challenge to life. And even the things you wanted to do along the way, to travel, to see the mountains, go to beaches, travel to other countries. Have you had the opportunity to do that yet? And then, this is my birthday month. And so we always evaluate, what are we doing during this life to achieve the goals that we had in mind to begin with? And not everything is what we planned for. And so this is not what I'm planning for. I do not want to have to use a walker or be in a wheelchair, unable to get places, unable to drive, unable to be independent. And we do so much for prevention. And what we have been preventing throughout life, We are trying to prevent wrinkles. There are creams, lotions, and potions that we are spending money on every week, every month, in order to prevent wrinkles, prevent the signs of aging. We are using fancy shampoos for our hair, keeping it moist and glistening. We are taking care of our teeth. But the truth is, we are aging. My home, for instance, still has a little shift going on as the house is settling more and more. And so we have things to repair along the way. But rather than always looking for repair, how do we know what we can do to prevent the damage to begin with? Like if we had a better foundation, so to speak, so that our house wouldn't crack. And so we look at quality breakers. And one of the biggest quality breaker in our life is poor controlled blood sugar. And that's what we're working towards these days, is so many people now are becoming more and more diabetic. Does anyone here have a diabetic patient or have or are pre-diabetes? Thank you. Thank you for sharing that in the comments. Thank you. Yes, even your uncle, your grandma, your grandpa, you got lineage. So you're expecting it because, oh, you don't want to expect it. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing it though. We're trying not to expect it, trying to avoid it. My mother would always say, I don't plan on it. I said, do you plan on still being able to drive? Yes, I'm planning on that. I said, are you doing something to make sure that you can plan effectively? Because even if you do not have a full-blown diagnosis of diabetes, uncontrolled, poorly controlled blood sugar is having an effect on your life. So let's look at the chronic low-grade inflammation. That is what is causing the aging of our body. Chronic low-grade inflammation. And there's a variety of things that contribute to it, but most of them trigger blood sugar elevation and elevation of cholesterol and cardiovascular disease. But the one thing that is an underlying progressor of it, booster of aging, is that blood sugar. And it's not even a full diabetes diagnosis. You do not have to be pre-diabetes or diabetic to understand how blood sugar is affecting you. Even if blood sugar is elevated due to allergy function. So if you eat something you're allergic to, your blood sugar will boost because of that chronic inflammation. Blood sugar has to elevate in order to solve the problems. And it is a major biomarker of aging, linked to numerous complications, and it severely reduces the quality of life and shortens the lifespan. The winner's solution, what we've been working on for over 20 years, actually, just didn't call it winner's solution until the last 5 years. But the method that we use is an evidence-based lifestyle changes that monitors your progress, and then we delay complications or eliminate complications altogether. And then it leads to a richer, longer, healthier life. Because just because you have blood sugar fluctuations does not mean that you have to have blood sugar disease processes. So the objectives, we are going to look at science of blood sugar's impact, the practical management strategies, and power of dedication. So the science of the dash, why blood sugar matters. Is it is glucose a friend or a foe? Yes, I know. I'd made that little flub myself. But glucose is needed. We're getting a lot of pushback, a lot of commercials. I don't know if you've counted commercials. Even now during Netflix and other streaming, we are inundated with commercials for medications for blood sugar control. And why? Because they know now how much that accelerates aging, accelerates cardiovascular disease. The number one killer of diabetics isn't diabetes. It's the accelerated disease processes because of that underlying chronic low-grade inflammation from elevated and uncontrolled blood sugar. So we need glucose, though. We need blood sugar. And we need it because that's part of our extended energy. And I don't know if you've seen children on sugar. It creates a lot of energy before the crash. And the crash is the danger. But the glucose is needed. And if we divvy up blood sugar naturally to the 5 millimoles per deciliter of blood that is expected in your blood system, your body is programmed to store blood glucose and to divvy it out when we're not eating so that you have a sustained amount of energy. But excess glucose that spikes and drops and spikes and drops and spikes and drops. This is over time what is damaging the body. So glucose is needed. We need that energy. 25% of the glucose you have in your blood right now is functioning in your brain. It is so active. And the more active you are preparing a webinar, for instance, researching, studying, thinking out problems for work, bookkeeping, I tell you what, that takes a lot of energy out of me. So many activities in the brain are taking 25% of every calorie you store for function. So we need glucose to be in our blood, just not at the levels we were speaking of, not the spiking. And glucose is the favorite food for the brain. So the brain loves to enjoy glucose. So when you have delayed meals, has anyone here ever skipped a meal? What's the most common meal you've skipped? Yes, I see. The most common meal skipped is breakfast. We get up, we're in a hurry, we may grab a cup of coffee, maybe a piece of toast, but otherwise we are out the door. And yes, thanks for that response. Yes, okay. So the number one meal skipped most of the time is breakfast. And if you are trying that fasting, intermediate fasting, where you are not eating for hours and hours and hours, there is still a prescribed method that is best for your body so that you don't do this. Your glucose is needed so much that if you drop below the needed amount in your blood and you're not eating, your body is converting muscle and fat cells to ketones. And those ketones, your brain will use it, but your brain doesn't like it. It's also the reason why sometimes when you skip meals and your body is just starting to break down to make ketones because there's not enough glucose, you get a little bit of a headache. Hypoglycemia is very commonly associated with headaches. So that increase and decrease below normal blood glucose creates headaches and mood changes and other things. So converting muscle and fat cells to ketones when not enough glucose to eat is also why people lose muscle mass when they're trying to lose weight. You're trying to break up fat cells and get fat cells to leave your body, but you're also losing some muscle. It is challenging, but there's ways to do weight loss, blood sugar management without losing muscle. It's awesome. Excess glucose as a foe. The body manages your blood sugar so well that it keeps it fairly level at 5 millimoles per deciliter in your blood. And it's so regulated because you need to have energy to keep your heart pumping. You need to have energy to keep your blood flowing. You need your blood flowing so that your kidneys stay healthy and you get oxygen to your brain. And then that insulin rises to help store blood sugar. The more blood sugar there is, the higher the elevation, the more insulin is released. And excess insulin increases the risk of depression. And that's such a challenge, mental and emotional health in our society today. We want the more balanced approach and to lower the spiking excess glucose jumping up and down and up and down and up and down. So one of the things that happens with chronic long-term spikes in your blood sugar is you do eventually start wearing out organs. And so we damage blood vessels. You have over 100,000 miles of blood vessels. And for every 5 pounds, I want to see if you can guess this. For every 5 pounds of excess weight you carry, how many more miles of blood vessels do you think you have? Well, let me give you a little hint. It's between 1 and 100. Can you guess? Is there a number in there? We're getting close. 20 more miles. Good job, Mindy. Thank you for sharing that. 20 more miles of blood vessels for every 5 pounds that extra weight that you carry. So if you're carrying 20 pounds, that's 80 more miles of blood vessels. No wonder you get an increase of blood pressure because your body is pushing. Your heart has to try and push. Your blood vessels have to get blood to every cell in your body. That includes your fat cells. So that increase in blood flow increases blood pressure. So chronic long-term disease as a result of excess glucose damages blood vessels, increases blood pressure. When your blood vessels are damaged, cholesterol, we need cholesterol to keep healthy cell structure. But when you damage cells, that cholesterol elevates just to patch up the cells that are damaged. It's like the extra Band-Aid in our life for every cell in our body. And so we need that cholesterol, but excess inflammation creates excess cholesterol. So it also increases the risk of heart attack and stroke because of the excess cholesterol is embedding in places it wasn't intended to go. And diabetics, do they die from diabetes? No, they die from cardiovascular diseases, stroke, heart attack, and embolisms in their lungs everywhere. So it increases that cardiovascular problem that we have now in our nation and becoming worldwide. Heart disease is the #1 killer. Diabetes, excess blood sugar accelerates that process. So other chronic long-term disease effects, again, we're talking about blood vessel damage. And so nerves and kidneys are damaged. You get kidney disease, kidney failure. You start to get neuropathy in your legs due to the lack of circulation and microcirculation. The tiniest blood vessels are in your eye, your kidney, around your heart, and going to the smallest hairs on your legs. So if you are starting to lose leg hair without shaving, then you are also seeing the death of blood vessels going to that hair follicle. And, maybe you don't want to keep shaving your legs, so you think of it as a benefit, but it's also a sign that neuropathy is coming down the road. An increase of pain and loss of mobility. Because when you can't feel your feet, you can't balance well, you can't walk well, you can't respond as a driver to braking when you need to. You start to lose your response time. And excess glucose as a foe also is one of the top reasons for blindness in the elderly and aging. And it accelerates aging. And one of the chemicals or byproducts of that accelerated glucose is the formation of advanced glycolation end products, and they are linked to binding brain cells and other cells together. It's like having glazed donuts, preventing nutrition from even getting into your blood cells, that every cell in your body is covered in a layer of blood sugar, and it cannot eat. That cell then gets sick and dies. So we see aging, the death process, coming faster from that blood sugar fluctuation. So the longevity connection, reference studies show that managing blood sugar, managing your BMI, your body mass index, and your blood pressure adds higher quality of life as well as years to your life. It is a known researched fact. And when we pay attention to those three items, we slow down the aging process. And you want to have the secret to longevity and higher quality of life. You want to be able to go hang out and play games with your friends, meet at church groups. You want to just be able, did you notice this bottom picture? None of these guys have a walker in front of them. They are still walking and aging slower so they can have a higher quality of life. Preventing, we're shifting and preventing death. We're shifting from that prevention of death to improving the quality of life. Our medical establishment only treats symptoms to prevent death. That's what they're there for. If you go to the ER, they just want to know, is there something here that we can prevent you from dying from? And they're restricting access to the ER facilities more and more because of the escalating cost of medical. And so we need to take a look at this shift. And one of my friends said, anytime you are having a challenge, having trouble in your life, just one quarter turn, just look and get a new perspective on life. And the perspective we have right now is improving your quality of life and filling the dash with quality and how to do that. So what the huge power that we have is in our own lifestyle. Lifestyle interventions, which doctors don't have time to counsel you on, can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes and the complications by a significant percentage. It's amazing. And the consistency of lifestyle changes makes it a habit, a lifestyle. So then you have a new lifestyle. And the word consistency is rooted in constant. This is constant, but we need encouragement to stay constant. We don't have to be perfect, but being constant in these changes, shifting our perspective from preventing death, which we all eventually have to deal with, to increasing our quality of life, filling our dash with quality. And the power of nutrition is what we're looking at next, using whole plant-based foods, lean proteins, and healthy fats. The optimal percent for each person can be customized because your DNA is different than your neighbor's DNA. There are general things that you can look at. A lot of folks are like, what diet should we be using? Some people do better with a higher meat content. Most do not. So it's very interesting. And we provide that service at Winners in Diabetes to test your DNA so that we know exactly what your body has needed all along, as well as how your DNA interacts with oxidative stress. Very simple test, not terribly expensive, not covered by insurance, because their perspective is on how to prevent death, not how to increase your quality of life. Fiber in your diet. Can you name me some foods that have a high content of fiber? Yes, John. Zucchini. Lentils. Lentils. Thank you, Rick, for telling us. Yes. And Fruits, vegetables, yes, very good. We have lots of things that help us stabilize blood sugar. One in particular that you might not have heard of or thought of before is the lentil. The lentil, and also it has a little buddy called cannellini beans. So these two the lentil and the cannellini beans, are super strong and researched in how they help to control blood sugar and also lower cholesterol. And they help you even the next meal. And it doesn't take very much. If you throw a couple of tablespoons in each meal, about a quarter cup, that's 4 tablespoons. Doesn't take much, but just adding that into your daily routine will also begin to help balance blood sugar spikes, so you're not shooting your blood sugar way high. DNA recommended for eating styles. Some people do good eating twice a day. Some people need to go 5 small plates. And there is actually a DNA gene, the FTO gene, that helps us to know that you are targeted for the 5 small plates and do better with that style of eating. I'm going to drink some water. Thank you for that small pause. Limiting added sugars and refined grains, because those don't have fiber in them. So there's nothing to mitigate the amount of spike it can create in your blood sugar. And just using a smaller plate. My husband and I actually switched to, instead of dinner plates, to a more lunch plate. And it actually has made a difference even in our ability to manage how much we're putting on a plate, because food is good. Food is very satisfying. It stimulates endorphins in the brain. And we can get carried away very easily. I love food. So having a smaller plate and watching how I fill that plate makes a huge difference. Filling the dash with quality. And so in this shift to improving our quality of life, the power of movement is huge. And yes, having an exercise routine every day is huge for keeping the heart pumping, and that 15 minutes every morning, 6 days a week, because we still need a rest. It gets the blood to your organs, gets the blood to your brain, oxygen. We're not dying from a lack of medication. We're dying from a lack of oxygen going to our organs and our brain. So we need that pumping blood to get to our organs and our brain every day. But we also need to bust another move daily. So that's one of those 80s dance things, bust a move. But integrating activities that are physical in our life helps to make a difference as well. Whether you like gardening, walking, turn on the Siri now. We used to turn on the radio, but just ask Google to play you some YouTube music that you love to dance to and get a move, get a groove going on. Or bowling. And so each day of the week, you can have scheduled something that is actually a motion, a movement, a fun, to keep you active, keep you moving each day. It also helps your joints to continue that moving every day. And another power is the power of habit, improving your quality of life, personal integration of just 1 or 2 shifts in your lifestyle each week has a profound impact on your quality of life a year from now, 5 years from now. Looking at how do you want to be living when your grandchild is now a teenager? Do you want to be able to go to the theme park and ride the rides? And I don't know, roller coasters are a challenge, but who knows? Maybe that's still a quality of life item that you can keep well into your later years. But preventing debilitating complications, and spending more quality time with loved ones is the point of the dash, improving that quality. And also this power of habit, having consistency more than perfection. Hey, we all have a barbecue on the 4th of July, and yes, maybe we have an extra piece of chicken, and we have to monitor those things and plan ahead a little bit. But then the daily routine has more power over the sometimes. So consistency over perfection, and start small. Choose a couple of items and integrate them as a permanent habit. And tracking and monitoring. We are looking into being able to provide continuous glucose monitors. And it's the first year that it's available to the general public. So you don't have to be diagnosed with diabetes and on insulin in order to get a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM. CGMs are applied to your back of your arm or your abdomen in order to measure your glucose in real time. And you can see on your phone how high and low each food item takes your blood sugar. And when you see an elevation going too high, you can take steps to lower that blood sugar. And literally, if you walk, you will immediately begin to use up that blood sugar and lower the impact of that elevated glucose. So start small. Consistency, tracking and monitoring with CGMs or finger sticks, and build a support system. Have a dietitian go over your diet, but they are also trained to help you stay on medications. We train as a coach in reversing diabetes. We train you how to avoid needing medication to begin with, lowering the medication you're currently on, and lowering the damage that has occurred over the years. So even if you've been diabetic for 20 years, I can assure you we have improved the quality of life, getting strength back into legs, helping to give you more energy during the day so you're not crashing and having to nap in the afternoon, being more productive, being able to think longer, keeping your mind sharp longer. We have had that ability from the coaching aspect because the doctor doesn't have time to do more than prescribe a medication for an elevation or a deficit in your blood sugar. And dietitians are taught how to keep you on your medications properly. So it's a perspective issue. The dash. This is my 60th year around the sun, and I'm excited to celebrate my birthday this month. But the dash, I look to the future. My mother has so many health problems from smoking for 50 years, adding to blood sugar problems that have been chronic for the last 20 years. And now we're experiencing heart failure, kidney failure, swelling in the legs, inability to drive anymore. And she's still quite young. And it's kind of fascinating how our perspective on what young is changes as we age. 60 is super young. My mother's 79, and I gave her a birthday card that said, "Don't you wish you were still at 60? Because right now we have pivotal decisions to make to prevent heart failure, stents in the heart, and kidney failure, having to put stents in the kidney to keep it flowing so that you're near death when that occurs. You stop having a urinary capability and you are very near death. So it's not just about adding years to your life. It is adding life to your years. I see a type error. How about that? It happens. So I have a gift for you for staying through the entire webinar. We have a Facebook group. It's a private group that has tons of content, recipes, tips, how to get better sleep, how to manage your blood sugar, and you've received good value today. And that Facebook group is free to you. Just request that. Yes, pop your email in. All right, we'll get that to you. And a book about how DNA, your DNA, and how oxidative stress attacking your DNA has triggered any blood glucose imbalance in your body. I actually began having blood glucose imbalances when I was in my teenage years. And it's scary. And at the time, the doctor just said, there's nothing wrong with you. It must be anxiety. You're having anxiety attacks. But it really was a tank in blood sugar. A blood sugar spike. Ice cream and pizza had something to do with that. And then it would crash. And my body couldn't handle the crash. Now I was dropping my blood sugar below 70 easily. So it was messing up my life. And I now know how to give you not only what is researched, but also what I've used for all these years, and even more so since menopause, to keep blood sugar in balance and to keep my body functioning normally. I can help you do that too. So if you want to know more directly, free to call. Just schedule a time with me. We will talk this out. We can do it through Zoom, which is what we're doing today here, or we can use the phone. So if it's easier, especially those hard of hearing, I find the regular hearing, regular phone landlines, or even your cell phone is easier to hear when you're trying to communicate with someone. And you really do want to hear this. So go to this URL, talktodrtess.com, and pick a time that's convenient to you on my schedule, because I also still run a full-time chiropractic office. So we need to get those scheduled properly. And this call is free. And on this call, we'll talk about the challenges you've had, the damage that has occurred over the years, what your goal is. What do you want to prevent? Well, how do you want your dash to look? Because this is your dash, not mine. I know my dash is helping you is one of the biggest things in my dash. I am excited about this journey online and how to reach more people to turn diabetes around. So let's find out what your dash, your goals are, and create some solutions for you and make a higher quality of life today. You don't have tomorrow guaranteed. We don't have next month guaranteed. And it's a challenge to even think that way. God put us here to accomplish a certain number of things in our life. And He has in mind a plan for you because you're still here. You're still talking with me. And we can discover how to make that easier for you over the next years that you have in front of you. And we've had quite a bit of success in multiple clients over the last 20 years of just bringing life back to their body, creating understanding as to why not eating to lower blood sugar is a bad idea. You need to eat. You need to have fuel. And your body just breaks down your muscle and makes you weaker and weaker if you're not eating. And some of us are just not good on what we call ketogenic diets. And if you go to YouTube, there's even a video on that. There's 2 videos on why ketogenic is such a challenge for a lot of people. It's not easily applicable over a long term, and it's dangerous if you do use it as your only source of blood glucose control, because you have to feed your heart also and feed your brain. Well, go to Dr. Tess, talktodrtess.com. I'll be glad to visit with you. I'd love it. It's my favorite thing to do. beats paperwork. Please get me out of doing more paperwork. Make an appointment. Talk with me. I'd love it. Have an amazing day.